They canceled my graduation party and said I wasn't worth celebrating. Just 3 hours later, I was shaking hands with the president. My name is Evelyn, and this is the story they never saw coming. Before we go further, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more true stories, and share this with someone who's ever been underestimated. Now let's get back to the drama. It all started 2 days before graduation. My mom texted me in the middle of my shift at the bookstore, casually saying, "Don't expect anything big for Saturday, Evelyn. We're tight on money and your cousin just got accepted into med school, so we're throwing her a party instead. No, congratulations. No cake. Not even a family dinner." I stared at my phone, heart racing, trying to swallow the lump in my throat. I had been working 2 part-time jobs, balancing a full scholarship, and still graduated summa cum laude. But apparently, that meant nothing. When I got home that night, the house was full of balloons and laughter, from my cousin Emily. I stood at the door with my graduation gown in my hands. And no one even turned around. My aunt looked at me and smirked. "Oh, Evelyn, didn't you just get a degree in political science? What are you gonna do? File paperwork for the rest of your life?" They all laughed. Even my dad said, "You should have taken up nursing like Emily. At least she'll be useful." I didn't say a word. I just went upstairs, locked my door, and pulled out the envelope I hadn't shown anyone. Inside was a formal invitation. Embossed. Sealed. Signed, from the White House. A few weeks earlier, I had written an open letter about youth activism, student debt, and policy reform. I sent it to a government-sponsored essay contest. I never told anyone. Not only had I won, but my speech was selected for delivery at the Presidential Youth Leaders Forum, and they wanted me to speak on national television. The next morning, while Emily opened gifts and posed for Instagram photos with a future doctor balloon behind her, I packed my bag quietly and took the first train to Washington, D.C. They didn't even notice I was gone. Hours later, I was standing on the South Lawn. I looked up, took a deep breath, and walked toward the podium. Cameras were everywhere, and then the president walked out and shook my hand. I smiled, looked straight into the camera, and began. "I was told I wasn't worth celebrating, so I let my work speak louder than their words." But that wasn't even the biggest shock coming for my family. The moment my face appeared on national TV, my cousin dropped her champagne glass. Back at home, they were watching the news, probably out of boredom, when my name popped up on the screen, underneath the headline, "21-year-old scholar delivers powerful speech at White House Youth Forum." My dad's mouth fell open. My mom froze with a paper plate of cake in her hand. Emily blinked at the screen like she was seeing a ghost. My aunt, who once said I'd waste my life in government paperwork, whispered, "Is that Evelyn?" But the real punch came when I started speaking. I talked about growing up invisible in my own house. About having dreams no one cared to ask about. About being mocked for believing I could change anything. And I said, loud and clear, sometimes, silence creates the loudest results. The next morning, my inbox was overflowing. I had job offers. From policy firms, nonprofits, even a senator's office. Influencers were tagging me. Journalists were asking for interviews. Strangers were calling me inspiring, but guess who else messaged me? My mom. "Proud of you, sweetheart. We were just overwhelmed with party planning. You know how chaotic it gets. Come home soon?" No mention of the cancelled graduation party. No apology. I didn't reply, but I did update my location on social media. Washington, D.C., starting a new chapter. That same evening, Emily posted a photo of her stethoscope with the caption, "Guess we both had big weekends." Grinning face with sweat. The comments were brutal. "Your cousin just spoke at the White House and this is your post? LMAO. We know who the real star is. She did more in 15 minutes than you've done in 4 years." Suddenly, the tables had turned. I went from the one with the useless degree to the girl who shut the whole internet up with one speech. But the sweetest part, that was just the beginning of what I had planned for them. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from the director of policy communications at a major think tank in D.C. He said, "Evelyn, your speech hit something deep. We want you to join our fellowship. Full salary. Housing covered. And, we'll sponsor you for grad school if you're interested." I didn't even need to think twice. Meanwhile, back home, Emily's perfect life wasn't going so perfectly. Word had gotten around that she'd cheated on her med school entrance essay. her ex-boyfriend leaked the screenshots after they broke up. The med school revoked her offer. Suddenly, all eyes that once praised her started turning cold. My aunt tried to do damage control. She posted old childhood pictures of me and Emily, writing, "Always proud of both my girls' two hearts," but everyone saw through it, and just when the dust was starting to settle, the local news station ran a segment on me, hometown girl heads to Harvard with full policy fellowship. Harvard, the think tank, had not only offered me a place in their elite team, they also partnered with Harvard Kennedy School to send fellows like me into a fast-track program. I hadn't told anyone until the story aired. My phone buzzed non-stop, texts from family I hadn't heard from in years. "Evelyn, so proud of you. Wow, didn't know you were doing so well. Maybe you could give Emily some advice?" I didn't reply to a single one. But the moment that truly hit me was when I flew back home for a few days to sort out my documents. I walked into the same house where they once told me I wasn't worth celebrating, and found a banner hanging in the living room, "Welcome home Evelyn, our star." I stood at the door, still holding my suitcase. My mom rushed forward like nothing had ever happened. "We were going to throw you a surprise party." I raised an eyebrow. "Like the last one you cancelled?" She laughed nervously. "That was a misunderstanding. We were just, I know exactly what it was," I said. My voice calm but sharp. "But you don't need to throw a party now. I'm already being celebrated by people who saw my worth without needing a family name attached to it." The room went silent. No one knew what to say. I turned to walk out, but paused at the door. "Oh, and next month, I'll be having dinner with 3 senators and 2 CEOs. I'll tell them you said hi." Then I walked away, but this wasn't revenge, this was transformation, because I wasn't the same invisible girl anymore. I was the girl who made it, not because of them, but in spite of them, and they had no idea what else was coming. A month later, something happened that flipped everything upside down. Again. I got a formal invitation to speak at a global youth leadership summit in Switzerland. Fully paid, VIP status. The email subject line said, "Evelyn Brooks, the voice of a generation." I couldn't breathe for a second. The event wasn't just a conference. It was a high-profile gathering attended by world leaders, CEOs, Nobel Prize winners, and international media. I was the youngest speaker on the list. I flew to Geneva, stood on that glass stage in front of hundreds of the most powerful people on the planet, and shared my journey. How I went from being ignored in my own home, to representing American youth on a global platform. My final words echoed through the room: "When people silence your voice, build your own microphone. And when they close the door, build your own house, one brick at a time." The applause didn't stop for a full minute. A few days later, I was featured on the cover of Time magazine's Next Generation Leaders issue, and back home? They finally realized I wasn't coming back. My dad texted, "I don't know if you hate us now, but we're really proud of you." I was wrong. I admit it. I didn't reply, not out of bitterness, but because I no longer needed their validation. Emily tried reaching out too. She sent a long message saying, "I know we had our differences, but maybe we could start fresh? I've been thinking a lot lately. I'd love to learn from you." She even asked if I could get her an internship through my Harvard contacts. I stared at the message for a long time, then I typed one sentence: "You once laughed when I had nothing, now you want to stand beside me when I have everything." And left it at that. I wasn't being cruel. I was protecting the version of me that cried alone in a locked bedroom while everyone else celebrated my cousin's future. Now, I had built my own future, and no one could take that from me, but the final twist was still waiting to explode. 2 weeks before my Harvard program officially began, I received a letter in the mail, not an email. A handwritten letter. It was from Grandpa Martin, my dad's estranged father, the one they never talked about. The one they said was bitter and out of touch. I hadn't seen him since I was 9. Inside the envelope was a short note, and a legal document. The note read, "Evelyn, I've been watching you in silence, just like you once watched your family overlook you. You reminded me of myself when I was young. They never appreciated either of us. But now it's your turn. I want the Brooks name to mean something again, through you." Attached to it was a last will and testament. He had left me everything: his estate, his land, his investments, his 7-figure trust. I was now the legal heir to a $3.2 million legacy. It turns out Grandpa had quietly built a fortune in real estate and technology licensing, but he had cut off the rest of the family years ago after they mocked his early Failures. Now, he was passing his empire to the only one who reminded him of himself, me. When the news broke, my family went silent. No fake smiles. No forced congratulations. Just stunned silence. They had chosen to ignore me when I was broke, alone, and trying to find my way. Now, I had a Harvard education ahead of me, a speaking career, global recognition, and $1 million inheritance they would never touch. The same girl they once said didn't deserve a party was now the one holding all the power they secretly wanted, and I didn't get there by begging for attention. I got there by turning rejection into rocket fuel. So the next time someone laughs at you, underestimates you, or cancels your moment, just smile, because one day, you might be the reason they regret everything. Evelyn.